present, or future, the City of Dillon has a rich heritage. Join us now for Down Home Dillon, where we will focus on our history, present accomplishments, and the future of our great city. Welcome to Down Home Dillon.
Welcome to Down Home Dillon on this beautiful September day. Still hot out there. Got a special guest today. Actually, I got multiple guests today that I'm proud to introduce to you. But it's Tuesday, September 17th in the big city of Dillon. We're glad to have you. We're going to take a short commercial break and be right back.
Experience true Southern hospitality. Enjoy an unforgettable day of golf and warm up your game right here in your own backyard at the newly renovated City of Dillon Municipal Golf Course, formerly Twin Lakes. If you haven't shot around here recently, you should give it a try. With 18 holes for $18 every Thursday, value is in the bag. Memberships are available and no tee time required, but call ahead anyway. We'll get a cart ready for you.
All right, welcome back. There's no need to introduce my next guest. Y'all see him all over town. Riding that truck. And one of the, I like to say, what makes Dillon roll is Keith Bailey. He's our fire marshal. Welcome to have you, Keith.
Glad to be here, thank you.
Keith is, I go through towns a lot and I talk to people, and you know, I've used these guys before I ask him these questions. I just want to make a comment on it. You can't have a better fire department than the City of Dillon. I'll give you an example. My mother and father's house caught fire last Christmas. You remember that?
I do.
We were out of town at a basketball game. It was actually in Hartsville. So we got the call in Florence. Couldn't find anybody. My parents were out of town, and what happened, some decorations out in the shrubbery caught fire and went on up the house. I think they were there by somebody walking by within 5 minutes. Saved their home. That's how quick they got there, Keith. Y'all do an outstanding job. And it's not only 4 or 5 of them that come. Generally, it's probably 10 to 12 of them that are answering the call every time. I'm not even going to get into my other time I called you on a Christmas Eve that got there real quick, but yeah. Lord, it's just y'all make us sleep better. Y'all just do, I can't stress enough the job you do. And what we're going to ask Keith today or talk to him about, coming up is Fire Prevention Week on October 6th through the 13th. Yes, and so this is, you know, we're coming up on all type of topics with fire prevention. And what Keith, I asked him to speak to us about are heating sources, which a lot of them cause the fire.
They do. Like I say, the most popular one used is probably the HVAC system, what we know as the central heating units. And the biggest thing about those, Todd, is to get them serviced annually and make sure that you change the filters monthly, every 30 days. And that keeps the unit, gives the unit the air it needs, and, and that way you don't have any problems.
I just, you know, in the summertime, I think they get dirtier than normal.
They do.
I went and checked mine last week, and I said, well, I put it in a month and a half ago. It ain't gonna be that bad. I pulled it out, and it was flat black. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I don't know how. I guess my unit was probably working overtime just to draw the air through the filter.
It don't take much. And, you know, with that being said, there's several ways people's heating their house during the wintertime. I mean, a lot of them use space heaters, and the biggest thing about the space heaters is just make sure that they're in good working order, make sure they're clean, make sure the electric cord that goes to them is not cracked, no wires showing. The plug on the end of them is good and tight. When you plug them into the wall, Todd, a lot of time what we're finding is in these homes we go to these fires, these space heaters is, when they plug them in, the receptacle's kind of warped, and the plug is not real secure, and it heats up and it'll set the receptacle on fire. So you make sure if you're using space heaters that it's in good working order, and make sure everything, you keep them 3 feet away from everything, because you'd be surprised at the fires we've gone to where they set the curtains on fire or the couch, stuff like that. I mean, the radiant heat 3 feet away, you know, it gets hot enough to cause a fire. And then we got several other things. We've got the kerosene heaters.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that.
Yeah, the kerosene heaters. We got, I mean, not as many as we used to have out there,
right.
But
still a lot of them.
They are. And people do, you know, do the best they can do what they got to work with. But the biggest thing with the kerosene heaters is same difference. I'll make sure you give them 3 foot away of everything, the radiant heat. And another thing about that, kids and stuff, I mean, they like to walk and put their hands on stuff like that. I mean, so make sure if you got something like that, you know, you got it secured and you keep an eye on your kids, because we've had some to get burned by those. Just by walking up and grabbing onto them.
That's right. Let me ask you something that's kind of new that I'm seeing, and I don't even know if it's a fire source or not. If it's, it may not even be a big risk. What about these new standby generators? Any issues with those that you could see?
Well, the biggest thing we've had with standby generators, you need to have them outside.
Yeah.
Generators need to be outside, and like I said, and the biggest thing we have with generators is drop cords.
Right.
I mean, the people, they run the drop cords into the house from the generator, and they overload the drop cord, and it gets hot and catch a fire and stuff like that. And the biggest thing to be safe with the generator, if you're going to use the generator, make sure it's outdoors, vented well, because you don't want that carbon monoxide stuff getting in your residence, because it's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. I mean, so
that's right.
If you get that, it's dangerous. I mean, it has been known to kill people. Like in the hurricane we had a couple years ago, had a family over in Loris, man and woman went to sleep with the generator, and they didn't wake up from it.
You mentioned the hurricane. I hear more fire alarms going off during the hurricane when it's raining cats and dogs than I do when it's dry. I don't know what causes the fires during the hurricanes, but it never fails. You guys are busy.
I think we have a lot of that. We have a lot of power surges, and when the limbs hit power lines, stuff like that, and it surges the power, a lot of times it'll set the fire alarms off. Well, I mean, we do have quite a number of those, especially in hurricanes. We get a lot of calls like during the hurricane. We had a lot of lines down, limbs on lines sparking, stuff like that. And
okay.
If you run up on that situation, best thing, just stay away from it. Call 911. Let us go check it out, and we'll get the appropriate, people there to take care of the issue.
Right. Last, before I let you go, I know y'all been busy with fires recently at the old J.V. Martin, a couple homes. I've actually seen your new ladder truck. That ladder extended up, I don't know, how that, 25 feet, 30 feet in the air?
65 foot.
65 foot.
It's a 65-foot telescope.
Wow, that's impressive, because it is pumping a lot of water on that structure. I'll never forget that one I saw on East Main Street about 7 or 8 months ago that pretty much burned down. Y'all had that water pumping right out. How many trucks you got now?
We've got a total of, we got 4 engines, and we got one 65-foot ladder truck, telescope truck.
Right.
And we got one service van. I mean, and with our department, I mean, we're fully staffed. We got 31 guys, 27 volunteers, and 4 full-time. And I mean, and those guys. I mean, I got a bunch of good guys on my department. I mean, like I say, we averaged over the last 4 or 5 years when we did our SO rating. We've averaged about 16, 18 guys per call. And that's pretty good for a volunteer department.
That's excellent. And that's the key. The volunteer fire department. A lot of towns will have paid fire departments. City of Dillon has a volunteer fire department that I'll match up against any paid fire department any day of the week around here. One of the best things the city has is our fire department here in the city of Dillon. And Keith, with that said, I would appreciate all you do, because you go above and beyond. Every time I talk to you, top-notch professional, whether it's inspecting a building, fires, treating your men, how you handle your day-to-day organization, we thank you so much.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
We'll be right back in just a moment.
Experience true Southern hospitality. Enjoy an unforgettable day of golf and warm up your game right here in your own backyard at the newly renovated City of Dillon Municipal Golf Course, formerly Twin Lakes. If you haven't shot around here recently, you should give it a try. With 18 holes for $18 every Thursday, value is in the bag. Memberships are available and no tee time required, but call ahead anyway. We'll get a cart ready for you.
All right, welcome back. Y'all know we're talking about Fire Prevention Week coming up, so it's all about the fire departments and who's in them. Got Bubba Grimsley with me today. He's our engineer. Bubba, I think we got one engineer, right?
No, sir.
We got 2?
We got 3.
3?
engineers.
Who's the other 2 beside you?
Donnie Grimsley Sr. and Lee Whitaker.
That's right. I forgot. I see them driving the trucks all the time.
Yes, sir.
So when you say engineer, does that typically that means tell me what an engineer exactly means.
I drive and operate the fire truck. What I do is when I get to the fire, I listen to Chief Bailey, and he tells me what line to pull off the truck. Once he tells me what line to pull off the truck, I know which controls I need to pull to give them water out of that specific hose.
And any one of y'all can go into any truck?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. We train on every truck that we have.
Right. All right.
Yes, sir.
So when you see a fire, you see one of these 3 or all of these 3 guys at a fire any time, and you see them throughout town, always inspecting it, keeping it up to date, I guess. But what I want to talk to about today are something very important, and I got a particular question, but it's about smoke detectors in your home or your business. Bubba, I guess, where I'm gonna let you chime into it, but I got a smoke detector that chimed the other day, so I took it off.
Yes, sir.
I went to put a new battery in it, one little, 8-volt or whatever.
9-volt battery.
9-volt battery,
Yes,
and it
sir.
wouldn't work. And I flipped the little lid up. Well, I had to have a certain type of battery, like
Yes,
a
sir.
Eveready or a whatever. It wouldn't
sir.
take just one that I had. But
Yes,
tell us
sir.
about
A lot of them
smoke
are
detectors.
battery specific.
Yeah.
Smoke detectors, and that's the only batteries that'll work in them. And a lot of them are hardwired in your home.
Right.
You have now them need to be like installed by an electrician
Right.
at that time, and they also do both. You can put a battery in them, that way if the power goes out, the battery is
That's right.
back up to them, or they can be hardwired.
Or you can just have them buy it at Walmart or wherever,
Yes,
and
sir.
stick it on your wall.
They
and
sell
stick with that.
10-year smoke detectors now, and they're good for 10 years. If they go to chirping, just take them down, throw them away, go buy you another one and put it in.
Yeah, yeah.
Put it up.
Yeah, and you'll definitely take them down when they start chirping. It drives you up the
Yes,
wall.
sir.
Now, what are y'all doing at the schools with this?
We teach them how to have fire drills. We actually show them what the smoke detector sounds like when it's activated. Far as a fire, we show them how to test their
Right.
smoke detectors, which needs to be tested every 6 months. They need to be cleaned properly, like take a brush or something, knock the dust from around them.
Around
Do
the
not-
smoke detector?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Do not paint around them or anything
Right.
like that.
okay. I got a rental home, and so I guess it's just like you said, don't wait till you hear them chirping. You need to go
Yeah.
do it every 6 months.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Usually, a rule of thumb is when you turn your clocks back or set them up, then you change your smoke detector.
Let me ask you this. I know, or I think y'all have a specific day of the year. Is it you guys that go out and or I know maybe it's the Red Cross.
The Red Cross is partnered up with some of the people in the county, or not some of the people, some of the fire departments in the county, and they do a fire detector blitz.
Right.
And they go out and install them in places where they're not wealthy enough to get their
Right.
homes. So,
All right, let me ask you this. I remember this. I'm a kill my age. I remember in the day when you used to have a fire, you used to call it, that big old siren would sound off.
Yes, sir.
And that's how I guess you guys were notified before cell phones, pagers,
sir.
and everything else.
I missed that.
So, yeah, you younger than me. So when you get a call for a fire today,
Yes, sir.
does it come on your cell phone or you get paged automatically? And if so, who does it?
Actually, it comes through our pagers and through our cell phone. And what happens is the call will go into central dispatch,
Right.
which is the 911. After that time, she activates our pagers and tells us what we got. And it goes through the internet, actually goes through the internet. We got a box set up at the fire department. It goes through the internet and goes
Right.
through our cell phone.
Fantastic. So y'all are aligned with technology also today.
Yes, sir.
I know y'all
As a matter
stay.
of fact, we just upgraded to a high band system, which is a whole lot better system that we had than we had probably 2 years ago. I
Right.
think we upgraded.
Yeah, I know the chief, is whether it's air packs, the trucks, the equipment. I know it's by doing the budget how expensive the things are.
Yes, sir.
A fire truck, for example, your last truck how old's your newest one?
It's a 13 or a 14.
Yeah, which is the ladder truck.
No, sir. That's engine one. That's the main engine that you see us mostly out in.
Right.
And the ladder truck's up 2,000, I believe.
Okay. Y'all keep them in great shape because they look almost brand new.
Yes, sir. That's what I told somebody the other day. I said we got a '98 truck. I said it looks just as good as our 2013
It sure
truck.
does. But anyway, one of Dillon's finest, I mean that with all my heart. You don't think much about it till you have to call them. And then it's just amazing how quick they respond to you. Like I say, it's not a better department anywhere. When I'm out of town, I think about these guys. I think about my home when I'm there. They just can't say enough for them. I don't appreciate all you do, but of
Thank you,
course,
sir.
I mean, it really is.
Appreciate
It's a pleasure having you on with the city of Dillon. I know they are very appreciative of all your expertise and all you do for the city.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got one more guest, and we'll be right back.
Experience true Southern hospitality. Enjoy an unforgettable day of golf and warm up your game right here in your own backyard at the newly renovated City of Dillon Municipal Golf Course, formerly Twin Lakes. If you haven't shot around here recently, you should give it a try. With 18 holes for $18 every Thursday, value is in the bag. Memberships are available and no tee time required, but call ahead anyway. We'll get a cart ready for you.
Welcome back, Down Home Dillon. Got another special guest today, Michael Sapp. Michael, you know, I've known him on the fire department when I go to the Christmas parties for a number of years, and sometimes I forget you're on the fire department because I used to see you at our church all the time. I kind of come in a sad way today. Michael has been our youth director at our First Baptist Church for a long time, and needless to say, we're going to miss him and all he did for the youth. But he's going to maintain his presence on the fire department. And Michael, it's great to have you. I think this is the first time I've had you here.
Yes, sir.
But it's glad to have you. So Michael is a volunteer.
That's correct.
Yeah. So one thing he's going to speak with us about today is why we have a fire prevention week every week.
Right, Todd. We typically will have a fire prevention week, and it was set in place years ago after 1871 in the Great Chicago Fire. The tragic deaths and so much of what it destroyed in Chicago. So about 40 years after that, they determined that they would set a week aside for fire prevention, and so they wanted to make sure that we educated the public. And so the main reason why we want to have a fire prevention week, typically here in Dillon, is going into the schools, and we go to all of our elementary schools, and over 2,000 students we make sure to talk to every year, and we want to get the word out as much as possible to educate and assist people in the best way to prevent some of the things that we've talked about here, and some of the heat sources and improper use of those things and what causes fires inside of homes.
That's right. And I think when you talk with those young school children, one of the things I would think you would talk to them about is have an escape plan.
That's correct. Whenever we get to the schools, typically we'll go through a program and we'll talk to them. We do talk to them about an escape plan inside of the homes and how to get out of the homes and those type things. We want to make sure to talk to them about matches and lighters, because typically kids will be drawn to matches and lighters and want to play with those, and those do cause a lot of fires. We talk to them about smoke detectors and what to do, as what Bubba just talked about. When you hear that chirping, if you're inside the house, what to do, and that involves, of course, the escape plan and how to get out. We also talk to them about stop, drop, and roll, because that's always one thing we want to make sure to educate our children up. We always tell them, make sure you stop, drop, and roll, and also cover their face. That's one thing that we've been told, just to make sure that we don't have any burns and smoke inhalation any worse than that. And we also want to make sure that we educate them as much as possible on that escape plan and how to get out of their homes and what to do in the case of a fire, especially if there's smoke in a room, for them to get down as low as they can and to crawl across the floor as low as you possibly can. And typically when we go into the schools, we will have one of our firemen put all of their gear on so that it won't scare the students if they happen to see a fireman come into their home, that they would know to crawl to that fireman for safety.
Let me ask you this. Are you surprised by the number of children in a particular classroom that may say, and maybe they haven't, we don't have a fire alarm at our house?
That is typical. We will have many kids who will say that we don't have smoke detectors or fire alarms, and especially a practiced plan. Many homes and many children will tell us that they don't do that, and that is the whole purpose behind our fire prevention and why we do want to educate them as much as possible.
Oh, absolutely. Now, do you go all to elementary schools, or how many, all of them here?
We do. We cover East, Seward Heights, South, and Dillon Christian School. We cover all of our elementary schools here in town.
Again, Fire Prevention Week, October the 6th, I think, through the 12th, that entire week, so that's why we're focusing on it today. A escape route to me is vital, whether you a 10-year-old child or a 45-year-old man, to know. I'll tell you why I thought about it a few times not long ago. There's an apartment, a house that I had on Main, still do, and I have a rental on the down and one on the upstairs. So he goes up the stairs, and I got an alarm on the foyer, one on the wall, on the stairway, and in that apartment upstairs. But I was thinking, well, if he was trapped in the fire downstairs, how is he going to get out? His apartment has a little balcony. Right. So I got him here. Here's a rope to tie off. This is your last way out. Just to think about stuff like that. And, because you ain't going to be looking or know to have a rope any given time until you need it.
That's correct. And this year's theme is to plan and practice your escape, because for many families, as what we discussed earlier, for many families this is not a regular occurrence. This is not something they've practiced, and so we always want to make sure, especially this year, we want to hit on that any family that's in any place, make sure, and you can make it an activity for the children
Yeah.
to draw a plan of your home and draw
Right.
what your home looks like, and then to make sure once you've drawn your home to know an outside meeting place,
Yeah.
that's a stationary meeting place like a mailbox or a car or anything outside that typically will not move and that will be there.
Yep.
You always want to make sure to tell them, and then one of the biggest things that we say it over and over again, typically our NFPA will tell us to practice these things at least twice a year, at least twice
Yeah.
a year. And so the more you practice it, the more you will perform it. So
That's
we
right.
always want to make sure we do tell families to practice those things and to practice
Right.
those escape plans and have a plan and practice them with your children as much as possible, because we don't ever want to have a fire, but if we
Yeah.
do, we want to make sure that we have planned and we practice for those escapes, because we will do what we practice.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Be ready, because you're going to panic enough already. So, I mean, just knowing what to do by routine, especially these children, are, nothing's more tragic than to have a fire with the death of a child
That's
or
correct.
anybody.
That's
I
correct.
mean, through more or less smoke inhalation more than anything, by not getting down and trying to find your way out.
That's correct.
And I guess by feeling things that you know where you are in your house or what have you.
That's correct.
The lives they probably save will never know, because it never happened, because they listened, and that's why they go out every week on fire prevention weeks to these schools. Thank God. Michael is the bread and butter of the fire department, the volunteer. That's what it's all about. And you can't thank these guys enough for what they do and their time, getting up in the middle of the night, getting up when it's 20 degrees outside, or like it's been 95 degrees and full, suited up is probably even tougher. But I want to thank you for all you do to the volunteers.
Yes, sir.
Y'all give them my best. And with that, we'll have a few closing remarks, and I'll be right back.
Experience true Southern hospitality. Enjoy an unforgettable day of golf and warm up your game right here in your own backyard at the newly renovated City of Dillon Municipal Golf Course, formerly Twin Lakes. If you haven't shot around here recently, you should give it a try. With 18 holes for $18 every Thursday, value is in the bag. Memberships are available and no tee time required, but call ahead anyway. We'll get a cart ready for you.
All right, welcome back. I weren't supposed to do this week. I'm no longer the mayor, as y'all know, and I think last meeting I said, well, this is my last time, and lo and behold, it come to me again. Well, when I found out what the program was about, I didn't waver. I said, yeah, I'll be glad to do it. When you talk about fire prevention, going to these schools and probably having a child or an adult listen to this show about, what to do during a fire makes it all worthwhile. So, great fire department with the city of Dillon. I mean that. I'm just not blowing smoke per se. They are the best. Those of you that have called on them or used them in the past, you already know it. And those of you that don't, I think you see when you go up to a call and you run across one where there's a fire or possible fire, and you see how many are there. I know you feel good about it also. So I want to thank those men and women that serve on the City of Dillon Fire Department. A couple other things before I close today. There's not much going on. I frankly don't know everything going on anymore. I did see, we're coming up Halloween in a little more than a month. Thank God it's going to get cooler, I hope. I think tomorrow is supposed to drop the temperature some. It's been a long summer with the heat, but Halloween's coming up, and I asked our city manager, I said, any hours you want me to tell the viewers on trick or treat? And he goes, Todd, 6 to 8. I think October 31st this year is on a Thursday night. So Halloween will be, trick or treating will be 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Thursday night in the city of Dillon. Then after that, you got holiday goodness that we've had, I don't know, the last 7-8 years. It's just been jam-packed every year. So holiday goodness, and they also have the chili cook-off, which in the past has benefited the Dillon County Humane Society, which I'm a strong advocate for. That date on holiday goodness, I think, is, November 16th, right before Thanksgiving. All kind of things to buy, food, crafts. There'll be a lot of vendors out there, the chili cook-off. You can buy your desserts, freeze it for Thanksgiving, Christmas, or what have you. November 16th, holiday goodness out at the Dillon Wellness Center. With that, it's good to see you again. Glad to be back. Hope you have a great fall and enjoy the rest of your summer. It's fast approaching the end of it. And we'll see you next time on Down Home Dillon.